$7,000. That's all that's stopping you in retirement. Let me show you how. Did you know that about 45% of working Americans have zero retirement savings? This is a scary thought to think about. Think about yourself 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 years from now, trying to live a life with nothing started up right now. It was found that the average retired American spends around $50,000 per year. When you think about this over the course of 20 years, this comes out to be over $1 million. Now, if we take a step back and think about it, how do you expect to save 5, maybe 10% of your $50,000 salary and expect it to cover 20 years of your retirement? A wise man once said, "My wealth has come from a combination of things, including living in America, some lucky genes, and compound interest." That wise man is no one else than Warren Buffett. If there's one thing Warren Buffett, one of the most wealthy individuals in the United States and even in the world, preaches, it is compound interest. And if you want to retire, you're going to have to learn this. Compound interest is interest that is gained on top of its previous value. If you put in an investment of $7,000, the first time that it compounds, it'll be on that $7,000. The second time, it'll be on top of that. So say it's a 10% interest rate increase. From 7,000, you go to 7,700, and then the next time it compounds from, instead of compounding from 7,000, it's compounding from 7,700. And as this goes and continues, it will continue to grow and become exponentially high. For this reason, I want to use a great example from Tony Robbins' book, Money Master the Game, that talks about two different individuals that invested the same amount of money, different time periods and different lengths, and had a huge and total different outcome financially. If you look at this picture, there are two people, person A and person B. Person A invested $4,000 a year for 20 years at a 10% interest rate, starting at 20 and stopping at 40. He let it grow until he was 65 years old for a total of $80,000 invested. Person B invested $4,000 a year for 25 years at a 10% rate as well, starting at 40 and ending at age 65 for a total of $100,000 invested. Now, looking at these numbers, who do you think has more money at the end? Your first instinct might be go with person B. Person B invested more money, $100,000 versus $80,000, so it makes sense why he would get more money in the end. But you would be wrong. Person B would end with just under $400,000, while person A ended with a whopping $2.5 million. That's a difference of $2 million, even though we invested $20,000 less initially. Even though person A didn't invest for 25 years and invested $20,000 less than person B, he was able to accumulate a much larger amount of money due to compound interest. His money to continue to grow from the money that he already had there, and it would continue to grow for those 25 years until it reached 65. This is just to show you that there is no time to waste. If you do not start now, you are missing on precious years that will come into factor once you get towards that retirement age, 60s to 70s, and you will be missing out on hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. It's hard to notice growth in the short term. You see a change of $50 to $100, maybe $1,000, and you're like, what's going on? But when you look back 40 years from now and you see how comparatively little, $7,000 is relatively still a good amount of money, but little compared to the millions you will have by compound interest, you will be so thankful and so happy that you had started and put whatever sort of money that you could, even if you can't max it out, the fact that you put money and allowed it that time to grow all the way until you were retiring has proven and given you the opportunity to retire. The key factor in compound interest is the amount of time that you have your money invested for. The longer you are invested, the more and greater the returns you will receive are. The difference between 1, 2, 3, and 5 years is mind-blowing. To put this into perspective, I opened my IRA this year as a 20-year-old. If I had opened it 2 years earlier prior, when I could have, I would have had $500,000 extra dollars. Think about that, 2 years to make $500,000. If you are over the age of 18, you need to stop watching this video and open a Roth IRA. I'll wait. Now that you've taken the most financially independent and smart step of your life, we can go from there. In the United States, at the age of 18, you are allowed to open what is called a Roth IRA, or for that matter, any sort of investment account. A Roth IRA in particular stands for Individual Retirement Account. This account allows you to put in post-tax dollars and let them grow and compound year over year without any sort of taxing at the end when you withdraw it after a certain amount of time. You might be thinking to yourself, this doesn't really matter. This isn't that crazy of an innovation. This isn't even something that I should even been thinking about. It's not that wild. But if you look at the statistic and how much money that you will lose due to taxes when taking out money, you'll see the difference is mind-blowing. Depending on where you live and depending on your tax bracket, the amount of money that you make off investments is taxed at a certain percentage, similar to what your income bracket is. In the year 2024, you are allowed to put $7,000 into your Roth IRA. The amount you can put in changes year to year. Last year, I believe it was $6,500. Next year, we'll see if it's a growth or not. But as long as you max this out, it will make you and provide you with the maximum chance and opportunity for growth and reaching the amount of income that you can generate through time. If I continue to put $7,000 a year into my Roth IRA for the next 40 years until the ripe age of 60, just past that age of 59 and a half to withdraw tax-free, I would have accumulated $1.8 million.
Nice.
This, compared to the $266,000 that I've put in, is ridiculous. And to put the perspective of time and the longer you invest for to your mind, if I invest for another 5 years for $7,000, another $35,000 invested, I would have $2.8 million. That's $1 million in 5 years. And as you keep going, the growth continues to grow. Roth IRA is a tool provided by banks and the government to help you become financially independent and strong. Yes, there are some limitations, such as that 59.5 years of age before you can withdraw your money without taking any penalties, and the income barrier of $161,000. If you make more than $161,000, you will no longer be allowed to contribute to it just because they determine that you have earned and created enough wealth on your own through income that it doesn't make sense to provide you with that tool to grow your income, and then you're going to be forced into investing into a usual brokerage, a personal brokerage, or something that your company offers. But for the large majority of working Americans in the United States that make less than $161,000, using this tool is the difference between living off pennies, spare change, and being able to enjoy your retirement peacefully. And a quick side note, the amount of growth that comes from you is very dependent on what you invest in and what kind of rates you get. The S&P 500 has a rate of around 10.26% since the 1980s, 1970s, whenever its inception was, and this has been the average up until 2024. Yes, there are bad years. Yes, there are great years. All depends on how you invest in your risk strategy. With that being said, with that evidence of previous years of growth and down years, you need to be able to push through bad times. If you know that you are in a bad economic phase, if you were in 2008, 2007, and you took all your money out and you never wanted to invest again, you would have had missed on some of the greatest opportunities for growth. Some people saw percentages and rates that they had never experienced before because the markets were readjusting and continuing to grow. And I understand this is hard to grasp and take account for, but your mind is playing psychological tricks on you. When things are going bad, they seem like they will never get better. When things are going great, it seems like they'll never stop. Your mind is just in this constant flow of following what's happening and never really looking 5, maybe 10 steps ahead to what could possibly happen in the future. A key tip is understanding your own psychology. Yes, this is a big subject, but being able to understand and build mental fortitude during investing is going to help you get ridiculous returns. Rather than pulling your money out of the market during bad times, you are going to be able to push through and take different angles and see what works best and be able to think about the next steps and think about potential growth that comes after this. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, but everybody's take on the market is different. If you pull out at the worst time, you're paying high and you're selling low. What does that mean? You're losing a lot of money. Just understand, you are not the first person to invest in the stock market, and you definitely will not be the last. People have made it for longer than you. People have made it for shorter than you. The people that have been there longer seem to be more happy and enjoying their positions than those that had left the market. The way I like to think about it, if the most wealthy and the most prestigious, important people in the world are putting their money into these, then why aren't you? And as I mentioned, their strategies might be a little bit different than the ones you want to take. Some people want to take a nice, smooth strategy, investing into bonds and getting their annual returns and guaranteed rates. Some people want to go put it all into one stock and then ride it out, whatever it might be. Some people just want to diversify around different markets, European, Asian, United States markets, gold markets, silver markets, whatever it might be, commodities, annuities, whatever it might be. But whatever it is, as long as you start investing, figure out your strategy, and get going, you will be able to see growth over the long years coming ahead. One of my personal favorite sayings is a Chinese proverb that goes like this: the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time, right now. You may be 18, you may be 30, you may be 50, but you will realize that your retirement is coming. You can't escape time. Time will continue to go. If you're prepared for your retirement or if you're not, is all on you. It is better to prepare earlier than it is to be in fear and in shock when it comes to reality. If you don't want to be a burden to yourself, if you don't want to be a burden to those around you financially, make sure that you think about what you can do today to help prepare yourself for the future.